Hey guys, so I just finished my Bible study for the day. I usually come here just to read the Bible, think about what happened in the week, and think about my goals, think about the past, pretty much thinking about everything. And I've been waiting a long time to record this video. I've always wanted to bring what I learned from the Bible, all the knowledge, all the wisdom that I get from the Bible. I would love to post it here on YouTube. Today is actually the perfect day for that because yesterday was my first time losing a fight. I've been training boxing for the last 7 months. I've had 5 fights, and one of them, which was yesterday, I lost it. And I'm not gonna go deeply into the technical stuff of what happened. Some people say that I won, some people say that I lost, but at the end of the fight, my hand was not raised, and I lost by decision of the judges. And yesterday, I had a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of things going through my mind. I couldn't process what happened. I was just thinking like, what mistakes I did, what happened, why I felt that way. In another video, I'm just gonna go and analyze all of my fights probably. But today we're gonna be starting the Book of Job. And the reason why I wanna bring the Book of Job into this first video is because the Book of Job is the book that I always go to when it comes to failure. When it comes to when you have bad experiences, when you feel like things are not working out for you, or when you put a lot of sacrifices into one thing, or you actually try your best and it just simply doesn't work out, which is what happened last time. And I've lost many times in my life. It doesn't have to be only about boxing. It can also be about your business. It can also be about relationships, even your relationship with God, if you have one. So let's just go straight into the Bible study. Job was this man who had the perfect life. Job had a beautiful family. He had a lot of children. He had a lot of land. He had a lot of animals, and everyone respected him. He had a lot of power, and he was basically the most successful man in his city. Let's just put it that way back then. And so God was very proud about Job. Actually, Job was also very faithful to God. He was so faithful to the point that he would make sacrifices just in case that one of his children would sin against God. Just think about it. He would make sacrifices every single morning just in case that one of his children had a bad thought about God. Really loyal to him. And one day Satan approaches God in heaven, and God says to Satan, have you ever considered my servant Job? He's very loyal to me. There's no one like him on earth. And Satan says, well, of course Job is faithful to you because you have given him everything. He has the perfect life. He has all these animals, he has all this land, he has all of these children. But I guarantee you that if you take everything away from him, he will curse you and he will turn himself away from you. And God says, okay, you have my permission. Let's take away everything from him except his health. And so the day comes, Job loses all of his children. His kids die, the animals die, he loses all the land. And instead of blaming the situation, instead of blaming his circumstances, Job says, God has given me once, and now God has decided to take away from me. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He said something in those lines, essentially saying, God took away everything from me, it's okay, because once he decided to also give me, so it's okay. And so the time goes, and again Satan approaches God, and God asks to Satan, have you ever considered my servant Job? He's really faithful, even though you took away everything from him. And Satan now says to God, oh yeah, of course, the reason why he's loyal to you and the reason why he's faithful to you is because you took away everything from him except his health. I promise you that if you take away his health, he will curse you and he will turn away from you. And so God says, okay, you have my permission. Let's take away his health, but don't make him die, essentially. And so Job has this illness, I think it's called spoils. Basically, it's like an infection in his entire body, and it's really painful to him. And so Job suffers, and one day Job has these 3 friends, and they all organize themselves to go and visit Job because they've heard about everything that has been going on with him. The 3 friends come to visit Job, and for the first 7 days, they don't say a word. They literally are like shocked about what Job is going through. They are just there to support Job, which is really nice from them. But his own friends turn away from him. I mean, not turn away from him, but they all said that the reason why this is happening to you is because at some point you did something wrong to God. Because the logical way of thinking about God is, okay, if you sin, you're wrong. If you don't sin, you're right. Or if you do the right thing, you're good and nothing's gonna happen to you. But that's not how things work out. And that's what we're gonna be understanding later on. And so Job is still faithful until this day comes. And this is the verse that changed my life. When I was 19 years old, 3 years ago, and I was in my lowest point, I lost everything in my business. I lost a lot of things. I lost relationships, and I was searching for a million different ways on how to fix this. Tried many things. But this verse was the thing that changed my life. And this is the verse that I always go again and again and again and again every time that I feel like why things didn't work out for me. And here it goes. So Job didn't lose his wife. His wife comes to Job and says, you should be cursing God. He has taken everything away from you. Look at you, you're suffering. You're having all of this. You should be cursing God and just die. And Job says back to his wife, you're talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? And that thing just changed the way that I just see things. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? Because why we only want the good stuff? Why we only want the wins? Why we only want the success? Why we only want the good stuff, but we don't want to struggle? We don't want to go through the hard things. And Job understood this. Job was faithful. And when I heard that, when I was going through this bad moment in my life, I just understood that life is not all about just having wins and just going through good stuff. It's also about going through hard times. I actually think that hard times are a blessing. I actually think that losing and having difficulties are really valuable because you can truly see who you are. You can see how a person is when they are going through something hard. And you can also see who truly is your friend. Like, for example, when I won my last 4 fights, everyone just wanted to shake my hand. Everyone was just clapping. But when I lost, I truly see who was there for me. And that's one of the best, most valuable lessons that I've learned these last months. It's just amazing how failure can teach you. And yeah, just going back to the story, essentially Job, he keeps suffering. He spends a long time with this illness. It comes the day where he starts asking, why me, God? Why me, God? Why are you doing this to me? I've never sinned. I've never done something wrong to you. And God says to Job, who are you to question me? He says, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked out its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched the immeasurable line across it? On what were its footings set? So basically what God is trying to say to Job is like, I'm God. I created the earth. I created everything, the universe. I understand your plans. I know everything. Who are you to question about me and how things should be? Because Job was saying like, why me, God? I don't deserve this. Why all of this is happening to me? He was questioning God. And of course, God is in control of everything. God has the power to literally shape all your life. He already knows when you're gonna die. He already knows what's gonna happen with you. Not because he designed it that way, but because he can see through time. He can see exactly what's going to happen, even though it hasn't happened. Well, the story goes and Job repents. Job repents from asking God, like, why me? Why you are doing this to me? And the story ends with God giving twice of what Job had at the beginning. So he has a new family, he has more animals, he has more land, and people now have more respect of him because I just came back from the beach because my phone just shut down. I didn't have more battery. And the moral of the story is that God sees who you truly are. God sees your heart in the hard times. That's when he truly sees who you are. And if you're really close to him, if you're actually faithful to him, or you're just someone who likes to believe in God just because you want good stuff. And this is really common in today's world, that people just pray to God, or people just want to talk to God to ask things to, hey, I want this, hey, I want that, hey, I want to have help. Or people just go to God whenever they have problems with their health or with their financial situation. And God is not like a Santa Claus. God is not someone who is just giving gifts out there and if you pray then he's gonna give you. It's not that way. God knows your heart. He can see truly who you are. And when you're suffering, when you're going through hard times, this is the time that you have to show him who you truly are. And that's what I did in my last fight. Every time that I go into a fight, I always ask God for his will to be done with me, even if it's a loss, even if it's a win. This also relates to other verses in the Bible, like Proverbs 21st, I think it was, where it says, the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but victory belongs to the Lord. Which means that the horse is prepared. The horse is showing up to the fight. The horse is fighting, is going through war. but only God decides the outcome. And how I see this as my boxing career is going through, and also my business and every single thing in my life, is I stop focusing now on the outcomes, and I stop focusing on the good stuff and, oh, maybe I'm gonna have this car, or I'm gonna have these trips, or I'm gonna have these relationships, or I'm gonna have these wins. I completely detach myself from all this stuff, and instead I just focus on the inputs and what I need to do in order to put myself in the situation where God can actually bless me with the outcomes. And that's what I've been doing. I've been training consistently. I showed up to the fight. I gave my best. Of course, I made mistakes, and I am good with the outcome because that's what God wants me to go through. And I think I really needed to have this loss, because otherwise I could have not learned what actually means losing into boxing. And I think it's one of the most valuable things that you can have in your life, losing, and especially at a young age when you can make more mistakes, where you don't have kids that are depending on you. Like, you can fail and your world is not going to end. And I hope that if someone is going through a hard time, or maybe you also lost a fight, or maybe you're just going through some hard time, just understand that God is in control, and God will give you the outcome that he thinks is best for his plan. Not for you, not because he wants you to just succeed, but for his plan. And his plan, just like he says, plans of good for all of his sons and daughters. So that's it for today's video. I'm thinking in recording more videos with knowledge and wisdom and lessons that I've learned over the last months when it comes to Christ and following God in your life. And I'm also gonna bring a little bit of boxing videos if I see. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and I'll see you guys.